Al-Muhaimin rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, the month of Ramadan is almost over by the grace of Allah. And, just want to kind of discuss that most times during this particular month, we have um, many internal struggles, and that's the whole purpose of it. And alhamdulillah, that we'll come out of it a better person than we went into it. And alhamdulillah. So today, I was talking about, the other day I talked about not killing ourselves. And in the Quran it says, La taqtulu, do not slay yourselves. And a lot of the ulama, they use this ayat, when they're referring to anything like smoking cigarettes, cigarettes, alcohol, or whatever. Do not kill yourself, even if it's incremental, even if it's slowly, slow death. It doesn't have to be an immediate suicide, but that is part of the situation too. But anything, this ayat, la taqtulu, do not slay yourselves, also means that as well. Do not do things that is going to be destructive to yourself, to who you are and what you are, or self-destructive behavior. As long as you're conscious of it. Now, if you're not conscious of it, then that's a whole nother scenario. But in order to know what is destructive and productive, you have to acquire knowledge. And this is one of the first things we talk about: acquiring knowledge. In order to know that which is productive for us and that which is destructive for us, we have to have the knowledge. We have to have the information, so that we can be able to make educated decisions. A lot of times with the lack of knowledge, we're just kind of running into walls and hoping that what we do will be successful or will be productive, and many times it's not. Many times it's not necessarily destructive, but it hinders the probability of our success, and it slows the timing of the success. Where you might have been more successful in a year, now it's 3 years, because just of the lack of information and the lack of knowledge and the lack of how to do a thing. So, do not slay ourselves as far as that, as far as economics, as far as our spiritual development, as far as our mental. Do not, don't kill ourselves like that, because when we do, it hurts us. And not only does it hurt us, it hurts the people who are around us, who love us, who care about us, and who want the best for us. That is, that's it in a nutshell. There's another ayat in the Quran where it says to slay yourselves. And this ayat talks about slaying yourselves. This ayat is talking about during the time of the Prophet Moses, Musa alayhi salam. In Islam we say Musa, but Moses in English, when he was on the mountain, when he came back, the children of Israel had kind of pretty much abandoned the Most High, and they went back to worshiping the cow. And so, there's different narrations, but over 20,000, more than that, some say, were killed that day because of their worshiping of the cow. Now, all major belief systems believe without a doubt that this was reality, that this happened, that Moses went to the mountain, that he did speak to God. And in Islam, he's known as Kalimullah, the one who spoke to God. But and all believe that he did do that, believe that, but I want to kind of focus on that we believe literally, but it's also a symbolism in this particular story, because, when you look at the mind, the spirit is a lofty position. And, the Prophet Musa alayhi salam was in a lofty position, being on top of the mount, talking to the Most High. And from a symbolic perspective, this is also, where we phantom, talking, or the perception of speaking or conversing with the Most High in our mind, on a spiritual level. which is not the nasut, which is not the physical level, the level of the animal, you know. And but according to the book, the children of Israel was on the lower level. They was on the nasut. They was down there, and they was doing exactly what we call today partying. You know, they were partying. They was dancing. They was singing. They were, you know, had the bonfires going on, and you know all of that. And again, today we call that partying, clubbing. And they was down there they was jugging. They was doing their thing. It's funny that the word for calf, an ayin, jim, and lam, which is also the word for calf, and other verbal nouns and other verb forms. You know, the same word aju that's used for calf is also used for fast life. You know what I mean? It's also used for the fleeting. You know, a lot of times it's translated fleeting life, but in everyday contemporary African American or English, European American English, we call it the fast life. You know, the word ajil, fast life, aju. And so the calf is a representation of the fast life, you know, of the fast life and of the partying that they were doing down there surrounding the golden calf, you know, the materialistic scenario, the golden calf. Just wasn't any calf. It could have been, you know, in this day and age, it might have been a platinum calf, Allah knows best. But it was a golden calf, and they was down there dancing and singing and drinking and, you know, imbibing and whatever they was doing. And at the same token, you know, Moses was on a more higher level, and he was up talking to the Creator, you know, about the future of his people, about the purification of his people, of the children of Israel, and the journey that they would have to go on, you know. And as all believe, you know, and the commandments were written there, you know, was given to him when he came down, you know, and so forth. So we have to be mindful of in this particular story that it is literal, but we also have to be spiritually minded that the reality of the spiritual is in a lofty position, and the nasut is the animalistic nature is in a lower position. And you know, when we are in the fast life, we are with the ajil, with the golden calf. You know, really. May Allah, you know, protect us from that and from self-destructive behavior. And that we be able to take, you know, what the Creator has given us to be better than what we are and to help us. As human beings, we are daif, we are weak. You know, in that sign of daif, you know, verily man is weak. And so man and womankind, we're flimsy vessels, you know what I'm saying? We fall, we break, you know what I'm saying? Break our neck, break our leg, you know. We're not, in all of our narcissism and all of our ego tripping that, you know, we're very fragile. And we really need guidance to the best of our capabilities. When one studies the Quran from there's many different ways. It says that one of the great grandchildren of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that in every verse is 1,000 universes. You know, now we know that there's multiverses. You know, there's not one verse. There's multiverses. So in every verse, there's multiverses. There's millions of meanings and understandings and doors that open when we do what Allah said do, which is tafakkur, you know, reflect, meditate, think on these verses, which is a direct order. You know, this is a directive from the Most High that tells us to do this, to reflect on His verses. I mean, when you can't reflect on His verses and keep it to yourself, you have to reflect on the verses, and then you share it with people. Just don't get too obnoxious with it, you know. Some people say, well, you know, you can't interpret this. You can't. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, how do you reflect? Nobody can interpret anything other than Allah. And there's different forms of tafsir. Allah, he interprets his own verses. If you read the Quran, the Prophet interprets them. And, we try our best to come up with understanding the average man and woman. But trying to understand in this day and age that not to slay ourselves, but to slay ourselves. To die before we die, which means to give up, the internal excessive anger, the hirs, the greed, the takabur, the arrogance, the gadab, the hate, the hasad, the jealousy. To give these things up to become a better us, where if we give up the jealousy, then inshallah we can become selfless. If we can give up the hate, then we can become compassionate. If we give up, all these other things, the opposite, the cure of these diseases is just the opposite. The narcissism is humility. And it doesn't come overnight, but it comes from the conscious understanding of the weaknesses that we all have as individuals and collective. So once we understand these particular weaknesses we have, then we can consciously attempt to work on them piece by piece, brick by brick. It takes a brick to make a house, and the house might take months to build. We're not talking about these new houses, prefab houses. We're talking about houses. So do not kill ourselves and be self-destructive, but kill ourselves in getting rid of destructive, self-destructive characteristics and behaviors in ourselves. Kill that part of ourselves. Get rid of that. We must try. It is difficult, depending upon the situation and depending upon our strength. But Allah says, you believe, fear Him and do as much as you're capable of. Fear Him as much as you're capable of. We're not all on the same level, and we will not be on the same level. And it's foolish for anybody to think someone would be on the same level. That is very ignorant. But try our best to do what we can do. And as long as we're trying, then alhamdulillah, then, all thanks to the Most High, then we will be blessed by that, because He knows our capabilities and He knows our strength. Everybody is not 260 pounds. Everybody is not 5'10". Everybody, every lady is not 125. Every man is not 260 solid muscle. Some are, bigger and some are smaller. But this big and small just doesn't deal with the physicalities. It also deals with the mental and the spiritual. Some are bigger and carry a bigger shadow. Some are small and they carry a small shadow. But whatever shadow you got and whatever internal, then alhamdulillah, just take that. Tomorrow, inshallah, I want to talk about, either tonight, verses that deal with some of the social problems in our country. African American and some of those hadith. And the cure. I mean, the funny thing is that in Islam, it tells you the problem and it tells you the cure. The problem with most of us, who are Muslims, is that we read it, but we read it like we read, Khalil Gibran, Muhammad Iqbal, Donald Goins, Louis L'Amour. We read it like a book, and we really don't understand. A lot of us really don't reflect on it. But the problem and the cure, 99% of the time, if it's not in the Quran, it directs you. It gives you the adil. It indicates towards you. It gives you it infers towards the solution to the problem. And one of the traditions of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he says, and it's talking about the zubab, the fly, And I think I believe the fly fell on some food, and the prophet said, and one wing is disease, and the other wing is the cure. And it's very true. The cure of 90% of the problems are just the opposite. If you're hot, you get something cold. If you're wet, you can get something dry, you know. So the cure of a lot of things, socially, a lot of the problems in the society with minorities, with the majority as a whole, is found in the Quran. And it's not it's a social thing, because Islam, according to sociologists, for those who don't know, is considered to be a social religion because it just does not deal with rituals. It doesn't just deal with ibadah. We get so caught up on ibadah. But it deals with mu'amala, it deals with the social aspects, the kahana, the marriage, the divorce, the alimony, the pedagogy. It deals with these things that are in everyday life. And because of that, that's the one reason that it is feared, truly. Now, people may not, choose to agree with it, but you have to really kind of study the long-term effects as well as the short-term benefits. Most people look for the short term and what has been, programmed and so forth and so on. But the reality behind it is the cure. The disease and the cure. The problem, the solution. What is the solution? So sometimes the solutions are not that tasteful. Sometimes the solutions are not that good to the palate. And I'll leave you with this particular story that I learned. This is a story from Rumi, for the ones who've ever read Rumi. And it's a story about two brothers. And one of the brothers had left, and he had traveled the world. And he had left his brother, who his brother and his mother and his father had stayed beside a butcher factory all his life. So, you know how meat butchers smells, and it was a horrific smell. And this is all he knew all his life, this one smell. So as he finally matured and he, left his house for his area for the first time as he was growing, becoming a young adult, he went to a part of the town, it says, that was known for its aromas, its fragrances, its beautiful fragrances. And when he smelt it, it assaulted his senses so much because all he knew had ever smelt was just the killing of pigs and hogs and cows and horses all his life, that he had never smelled anything so nice, so good, that he fainted, literally. The beauty of the smell literally just made him fall out. Bam! So as he fell out, people ran to him and they was trying to wake him up, and he wouldn't wake up. And it said his brother, who had traveled the world, just happened to be walking down that street, and he seen the people around this person, but he didn't know it was his brother. And he ran over there and he kind of pushed and he looked and he saw it was his brother. And so he automatically understood the problem, but he also knew the solution. He went and he got some dog doo-doo and he put it on his wrist, smeared it on his wrist, and he put it up under his brother's nose. And when his brother smelled this nefarious smell, he woke up, came back to his senses. And people say, man, what kind of story is that? That story doesn't make any sense. It does. Two things. When you or me or us living in a nefarious, bad smelling, bad place all of our lives, and we are immersed in something that is good for us, something that smells good, angelic, beautiful, heavenly scent of wisdom, we faint psychologically, emotionally, socially. We become unconscious. We don't get it. With that being said, have a nice Ramadan. Ramadan Mubarak. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.